How could two children, barely old enough to understand life, take another child's life in such a brutal way? In 90, Britain was left speechless. Not because of a war, not because of a natural disaster, but because of a crime so unthinkable, it defied every assumption people had about innocence and childhood. This is the story of James Bulger, a 2-year-old boy whose murder shocked the world and whose killers were not grown men, but two boys themselves, only 10 years old. On February 12, 1993, James Bulger's mother, Denise, took him shopping at the New Strand shopping center in Bootle, a town near Liverpool. It was an ordinary day. Parents with prams, children with sweets, the buzz of a Friday afternoon. But in the space of just a few seconds, everything changed. While Denise was distracted at a butcher's shop, James wandered a few steps away. In that moment, two boys, Robert Thompson and John Venables, both 10 years old, spotted him. They led him out of the shopping center, captured forever on CCTV. The grainy footage would later haunt the entire nation, a tiny toddler holding the hand of one boy, being led away into the unknown. The long walk over the next 2 hours, the boys walked James nearly 4 kilometers through Liverpool. Along the way, people saw them. Some assumed the toddler was their younger brother. Others thought he was upset, but didn't intervene. James cried for his mother. He stumbled. He tried to escape. Witnesses later said they saw the boys kicking him, shaking him, pulling him back when he tried to run. But no one stepped in. Eventually, they reached a railway line. What happened next is one of the darkest chapters in modern crime. The details are brutal. James was beaten, struck with bricks and a metal bar, and finally left on the tracks. The boys placed his small body there, covering it with stones and debris, perhaps hoping a train would hide what they had done. James was just 2 years old. When Denise realized her son was missing, panic spread. Police were called, and soon the city was searching. Posters went up. The CCTV image of James holding a boy's hand was broadcast nationwide. 2 days later, a group of children playing by the tracks made a horrifying discovery. James's body had been found. The nation was horrified. The question was immediate. Who could do this? At first, the idea of children being responsible was unthinkable. But police noticed the CCTV footage. 2 boys. Young. About 10 years old. Tips poured in, and soon suspicion fell on Robert Thompson and John Venables. When arrested, both denied involvement. But evidence mounted. James's blood was found on their clothes. Witnesses identified them. The truth could no longer be denied. In November 1993, the trial began. The courtroom was packed. The press swarmed. For the first time, Britain faced the reality of trying children for murder. The boys sat in the dock, dwarfed by the surroundings. They fidgeted, cried, whispered to their lawyers. They were 10 years old, but the charges were as serious as any adult criminal would face. Prosecutors laid out the chilling facts: the abduction, the walk, the torture, the murder. The jury listened in disbelief. Finally, both were convicted of murder and sentenced to detention at Her Majesty's pleasure, a term meaning they would be held indefinitely with a minimum of 8 years. The British public erupted in fury. Many felt the sentence was far too lenient. Crowds gathered outside the court, shouting, "Hang them!" The debate raged. Could children truly understand what they had done? Should they be treated as adults or as children who had lost their way? In 2001, after serving 8 years, Robert Thompson and John Venables were released. They were given new identities and lifelong anonymity orders to protect them from vigilante justice. But the story didn't end there. John Venables would later be convicted of child pornography offenses, reigniting the anger of a public that never forgave him. Denise Bulger, James's mother, spent years campaigning for justice, haunted by the loss of her son. She once said, "Part of me died with James that day, and it will never come back." The murder of James Bulger changed Britain. It sparked national debates about childhood, evil, and justice. It questioned whether innocence could truly be assumed just because of age. And it left behind a lasting scar, a reminder that sometimes the darkest crimes come from the most unexpected hands. This was the story of James Bulger. A story of innocence stolen. A story that Britain will never forget. Please like and subscribe for more.